Hello and welcome back to episode 8 of Banana for Your Headtop. Almost at 10. We've almost been doing it for 10 episodes and it's taken us like 17 months to get there, but I'm impressed by our tenacity and to push through. So welcome back. Thanks for tuning in again. We have probably a briefer episode for you today, but some really important topics that need to be talked about. So we're excited for this one. How you doing today, Andrew?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Making the most of it, still surviving. So, I can't
Amen.
complain.
Yeah. Even in lockdown, we push through. We're pushing through here. So let's get on with it. We want to start a new segment where we talk about kind of stupid headlines in the news or weird headlines in the news that you wouldn't see every day. So there's some that you see every day, like COVID stuff or Trump stuff or US politics and Pfizer and all those things. But we're tired of that. We don't like to see it only. So we did a search on some weird headlines. And maybe many of you know about this one because it kind of was popularized, especially through TikTok, I think, about the Josh fight that happened in Nebraska this past week. Now, to those who don't know what the heck that is, the Josh fight was born about a year ago, pre-pandemic, when a guy named Josh, surprisingly, found all the people named Josh in his area and put them into one group chat and wanted to meet up in a field and have a fight, a pool noodle fight. Unfortunately, it got postponed a year because of the bad headlines, we'll say. But through it all, this one prevailed and came through a year later that a 4-year-old named Joshua, surprise, surprise again, won the pool noodle bashing battle of hundreds of Joshes. Andrew, what are your first reaction to this idea of a bunch of Joshes meeting up together to hit each other?
Only in Nebraska.
Of course.
I think it's good on them,
Yeah.
You think of, how, people in Jeeps or, guys on motorcycles, they have like a sign when they're passing each other and stuff. It's like a mutual respect because there's something that you share.
Yeah.
This is a lot like that. It's a bunch of Joshuas uniting over the commonality that they have.
Yeah.
And applying this to the greater world, I wish that we would all just see each other as if we were all not necessarily Joshuas, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the kind of energy we need.
More type of Josh energy in the world.
But it sounds like, and I'm glad it was just a pool noodle fight, and it's awesome. 4-year-old came out on top. Yeah. So good on the Joshuas to have some respect.
Yeah.
But that could have been a lot worse. I'm trying to think through the Joshuas that I know. And I think if you put them all together, I'm thinking it'd be real hands thrown.
Yeah.
And it would have been more like an Anchorman fight scene, like there would have been chaos. It would have just been carnage.
Yeah. But the way I see it, it went the third way out of 3 possible ways. The kind everyone loves each other, pool noodle fight. Look at us, we're all Joshes. It could have gone, who's the superior Josh? Let us all kill each other, survival of the fittest. Or third, we have an army of Joshes, let's go take over the world. Like, I think in my phone, I have more contacts named Josh, like just so many people named Josh from the years that it surprises me. There's so many Joshes in the world, they could probably take over the world. So my first reaction is this is scary. Like, if we're starting to separate on lines of name, there's no hope for humanity. If we're going to be having Joshes versus Andrews, that'll probably be one of the biggest fights of all time. Although I think Muhammad's would have the biggest army because I'm pretty sure that's the most used name in the world. So they'd have the biggest army. But all I'm saying is this is a dangerous precedent for where we're going in the world.
Yep. Yeah. And honestly, I think if we got all the Andrews together, maybe I'm biased, I don't think we'd fight each other. I think we would unite.
Mm-hmm.
We'd end up going after everybody else. That's the thing. I don't know if I've met an Andrew that's necessarily a bad, like a mean guy. For the most part, they're nice people.
Yeah.
From all the ones that I've met, and sure, some of them might be a little interesting. Hey, I might be even in that category. I'll take that.
But in the Andrew lines, you're all one. You're all together.
Yeah.
There's no weird or cool. It's just Andrews.
We're good people.
Yeah.
And if you've met an Andrew that's just like a horrible person, like just like disgraces the name, let me know.
We'll run up.
You need to have a chat with them, get them to change the name. It happens.
Yeah.
There's always a bad apple of one in the bunch. It happens. But have you ever met another Kaeden?
Yeah. And I was actually going to say, when you brought up if you've ever met a bad Andrew, I've met an annoying Kaeden in high school. Like, he was in my gym class, the most annoying Kaeden I've ever met. And he ruined our reputation. Like, this guy is like going around being a fool, and I'm over here with no friends. But whatever, that's a different podcast. Pain. But this guy's being a fool, and I honestly can't stand him to this day. Like, personally, he just ticked me off. So you're saying this, and I'm thinking of this fool that's ruining. So you're saying, oh, we'd probably all love each other. No, I'd probably just be like pissed with the quality of army that we have. Being like, what type of Kaedens are out here, man? We need better genes. Come on now.
I mean, that's funny because it would be a one-on-one. It might be entertaining. I don't know if I've met other Kaedens. I know they're of Cades. There's a few basketball players that are Cade.
We allow them. We allow the Cades. They're okay.
Well, and that's what I was wondering, if with the Joshuas, did they separate each other to like who goes by Josh, who goes by Joshua? Let's like, then
we'll fight.
There might often, I think it's like it's the nickname, whatever. It's just easier. People just say Josh instead of Joshua. It's less or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, either based on like birth certificate, was it the full Joshua? Is it just Josh? Like, what's the deal? I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to find out.
Yeah. Where do you draw the battle lines, right? It's tough stuff. But we encourage you who are listening to, think of the army you'd have. What would they be like? Comment if you can. We're posting to YouTube now, by the way, so you can actually comment if you want to. We'd like to know, what would your army be like? Have you ever met a poor version of your name, someone who's annoying that you wouldn't really want around? Or have you only met good examples of Kaedens, of Andrews, of Joshes? I think we all have different experiences that we base, how we think of other Joshes based on how we know other Joshes. So comment below, interact with us. We'd love to hear it. We want to move on now. Andrew earlier said only in Nebraska, which I thought was an interesting comment, because we're moving into a segment where we're going to be talking about Nebraska and other states as well. I was sitting around with my family the other day, and we were talking about what state would we want to move to in the States. Out of all of them, what are our top 3 states that we'd like to move to? And then what's one that we would never even consider? So I'm still formulating my list here. But Andrew, why don't you give us your top 3? We'll start with our third one right now, of a state that you'd like to move to.
Sure.
Which I want to preface as well, doubt I'll ever move to the States. Like, unless God's like yanking me there, I'm content. We're good here.
I'm pretty content living in this area and visiting the South.
Yeah.
And I want to preface this by the fact that a lot of these, or I'd say pretty much every state has something to them that is unique and worth going to see. Like, you go through any of the states and there's at least one landmark, or just whatever the kind of like the terrain, I guess, is like, that's there, that's worth going and seeing.
Yeah.
Even if it's like, I'm going to throw Utah out there. And here's the other thing, not being American and not having visited all of these places personally, and only knowing maybe a bit about a lot of these, a lot will get left out that won't get credit for. So shout out to all the states like just specifically.
Yeah.
Just because, each one brings something unique. Sure.
Yeah, a different flavor.
I'm gonna say about them. But I bring up Utah, and besides like Lake Placid, the most I know about Utah is Mormons.
Same.
So I apologize, but I think it'd be cool to go see that huge like Mormon temple thing because it's ginormous.
Yeah.
To go there, be like, wow, that's cool, and then be like, but that's also really sad.
Yeah. But in the same breath, let's evangelize.
So whatever. There's something cool to each state, even if it's something that's a little iffy.
Yeah.
So third, I'm gonna go with, and I was actually debating whether or not to go with this, but I'm gonna go with third. I'm gonna put California. It's a classic. I think it's too easily become what's it called? Like it's too easy of a place to say, but it is nice. And I don't know about LA specifically. From what I've heard, LA's weird. Like it's just a really weird
Checks out.
There's just all kinds of characters out there. But if you think of like a place like San Diego or like even San Francisco, it's a little more tame compared to that.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a place like that, you're on the coast, you've got beaches, you got warm weather. That seems very nice.
Yeah.
I think if you find the right place, and California's a huge state. So there's lots of possibilities out there.
Mm-hmm. That's good. I like that one. Oddly enough, mine isn't California, but my third would be actually Florida. Now that might surprise a lot of people just because I've heard Florida referred to as like the butt crack of the states, which I mean, I don't disagree with. But it's one of the only few states I've ever been to. I haven't been to many, but it's nice. It's warm. I like it. I haven't seen really like maybe the dirty parts of it. There definitely are, but I think it's respectable. You got water. They have some good sports down there too. Currently the Raptors are playing in Tampa, so anything to go watch a Raps game at this point. But I like the energy that Florida people give off. I think we all know the trend of searching up Florida man does, and then your birthday, and seeing what pops up in the absurd headlines they have. I like that type of energy. Like, give me that chaos, and I vibe with that. So if I could be in a state with a bunch of crackheads, put me in, coach. Florida at number 3.
Florida.
Florida.
Nice. For number 2, I'm gonna go a bit across the water over to Hawaii. I'm putting Hawaii at number 2.
Forgot
it is an American state.
Yes.
So it's gonna be on the list. I'm always looking for little loopholes, and here it is. So number 2, I'm putting Hawaii. I put it at number 2 rather than number 1. I know it's beautiful. I've never been there. I've only seen and heard. It just seems like it's a very relaxing, comfortable, just kind of spot. The reason it drops to number 2 is I don't know. I mean, are we talking about living?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Just clarifying. A lot of the basis of this is the fact that I don't know if I'd be able to live there for that long.
True.
It's out on an island, just kind of away from anything else. They've got volcanoes, which are a little scary. You never know about those ones.
You're right. You're correct with that one.
Out on the water, so if storms come, I don't know what's stopping you from getting washed away. Plus, a bit of the reason why I like Canada and specifically this area is just the fact that you get an experience of other seasons. So sure, you'll get, nobody likes the snow necessarily, but you'll have a bit of that. So you have the winter season, and sure, it's harsh. And after maybe a couple of weeks, you're like, all right, fine, bring back summer. But I think if it was constant heat and like rain and just like that same cycle all the time, as ideal as Hawaii seems, I think it would get a little bit, I don't want to say boring, but just almost annoying. I feel like your escape would almost now feel like a confinement. Just
That's deep. Put that on a shirt. Wow. No, that's good. I like that choice. Good reasoning too. My number 2, I'm kind of up in the air about this one, but I think I'd go California for where I'd actually live. Thought about this is probably an honorable mention, but Georgia. I like the vibe of Georgia. But California, for a lot of the reasons you said, love the sports. Like being able to go to a baseball game, Dodgers, love the Dodgers. And then they just have, like, it just feels like they're a hub of so many teams that are close to each other. And if you want to go to a different sports team, you drive a few hours and go watch Sacramento, right? But like the beach there, the vibe. I do agree. Like, yeah, it's kind of like a cliche, right? Like, ooh, California, wow. But to actually live there, I'm sure it's nice. Find a nice suburb, probably be nice. But I don't have much reason for it other than the fact that it just seems one of the lesser of all the 50 evils in the States, right? Like, don't want to move to any of them technically, but if I had to, California would be number 2. So speaking of the lesser of evils, before we get to our number 1, what's the most evil one to you that you would never even consider moving and that you kind of spit on?
Man, and this is tough because a lot of it, I think a lot of what people know about America is stereotypical stuff of each state.
Yeah.
There's some truth to that, but it's tough to then generalize the whole state and like all the people by that.
Yeah,
it is what it is. But I mean, I feel bad putting this as the worst, because they're basically part of Canada, but I have to put Alaska. And before I'm not trying to say it's the worst, but it would be the worst for me to live.
right.
I can deal with the snow, but I would not be able to do that for a full year, especially at the amount that they get. Now, don't get me wrong. I've heard great things about Alaska. Yeah. I've heard it's beautiful. I've heard they've got like great fishing. The views are amazing, and that's awesome. And I would love to visit, but there's no way I'd ever live there full time.
That's a good one. And it just feels like the overall isolation. Like, I know there's definitely people up there, there's communities, but it's not the same as like a Toronto or Milton, might I say. That's a good one. Mine also feels like it's almost Canada, but it's not. And I'm saying Michigan. Like, unfortunately, because of those stereotypes that you're talking about, of Detroit just being kind of like meh. But I don't know, it's way too close to Canada to make it different enough for me to move there. Like, if you're going to live in Michigan, you're getting the same weather, kind of like the same vibe, just with probably more corrupt government. Right? Not corrupt, but you know what I mean? Like, this, like, and now you have to deal with that politics. So just move up a few hours and live in Canada. It's much nicer. So personally, I put Michigan just bottom of the heap because it's just not different enough, kind of unimpressive to say the least. So
we might have to go through this again, do some research and I mean, even do a business trip all across America and then come back with a full power ranking, ranking them all.
This is good. This is a good idea. We have to come back and review our original standings.
Say if we were off at all. Yeah. All right, but now we hit number 1.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go ahead?
Yeah. Take it away.
Okay. Not too sure and this could change afterwards. There are a few places that I would consider. So Florida's one where, I have family down there. I've been there multiple times. They got Disney World, obviously. It's warm down there. And I don't know. Florida's a nice place, but I don't know. It's not number 1, but I guess I'm going through honorable mentions at this point. Another one is Texas. I'm almost tempted to go to Texas just to get a big truck, throw a cowboy hat, and not care.
Yeah.
but then I'm like, no, that's not me. So then, you know, even a place like New York, big city, that's, you know, it's a cool vibe. But again, that's just it. Not only is it crazy expensive, but
True.
That big city like that, not being able to like breathe, that's kind of scary.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it's a very cool city. Recommend visiting. It's cool. I think southern states scare me, and I hate that a lot of that is a there's generalizations there.
I'm with you there.
But let me keep it towards the southeast, like the bottom, just where there seems to be so many storms that hit.
Yeah.
I have to stay away from that,
mm-hmm.
but yet stay south enough that it's warm.
Yep.
I already said California, so I think I'm going over to North Carolina. And so I've actually never, I should actually probably check this. I don't think I've ever actually stayed in North Carolina like
mm-hmm.
long enough to really give it a review.
Yeah.
But I've stayed in South Carolina, and it was warm and everything, and it was a classic. But I remember driving down to Florida and passing through North Carolina, super warm. The city looked like really nice
mm-hmm.
As we're passing through Charlotte. So I was like, wow, Charlotte seems like a pretty cool place. Like,
yeah.
They've got the Hornets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe, let me check this before I say something wrong.
No mushy banana, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I believe the Carolina Panthers play there. As well as the Carolina Hurricanes. I believe they're both situated in North Carolina rather than South Carolina.
Okay.
And for me, there's enough of you're going south enough for warm weather,
mm-hmm.
But you're staying high enough that you're kind of missing the storms. You're still getting the beach, but you're not on the cliche on the West Coast. It's just like there's a nice mix there. It's respectable for the most part. I mean, well, I don't know.
Yeah, that's
might still be but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah,
I think right around there you're hitting a nice. You're bringing in enough of the elements there.
Yeah. No, that's really good. Yeah, mine's. I also went through the same honorable mentions as you. I was like, man, Texas would be great. New York's great. I kind of vibe with those, but I would land on somewhere near yours. I think. I don't know geography of it that well, but Virginia. I have been to Virginia, and I do have family there, and I like the vibe. I very small memories of it, but it felt a lot like where I live right now, and I think that's why I like it. No massive city where we were, which was nice. It was kind of more just like a suburban, but still like clean. Like all I remember is it being clean, appealing to the eye. I don't think they really have any sports teams, which would be unfortunate, but I'd be sticking to Go Sens Go anyways, right? Like I'm going to stick with the teams I like. So yeah, Virginia, because it's not as like popping off the page, but it would be a good place to live in my opinion. So too bad that that's not super a controversial take, but it's my opinion. So I don't care what other people think.
Well, yeah, it's kind of funny. We've stayed pretty much out of the middle of it.
Yeah.
We mentioned, you know, California, Texas, Florida.
Yeah.
Up the east side, and then we've not really said much about the inside.
Yeah. But of course, if we did live in these states, I think we'd still be pretty close to each other, which would be the goal, right?
Yep.
Have a studio halfway for our podcast. There you go.
Well, you said Virginia, right?
Yeah. Is that not close?
Virginia and North Carolina are right on the border of each other.
There you go. Right on the border is our Banana for Your Headtop studio. So it just works perfect. Yeah.
Doesn't Virginia have the headquarters of the FBI or something? Pentagon?
Sure, I'll take it. That too. That adds to it. That's the little spice. That's good. For those who disagree, once again, comment. Let us know. Text us. Like to hear your number one, or the ones that you disagree with. Like, hey, how dare you say Alaska sucks?
How dare you not mention Idaho?
Exactly. Right. I forgot that was even a thing that existed. So love to hear from you. Andrew, do you have any final words to say to people? Any wisdom today?
Man. No, I don't.
No. Cool.
No wisdom today.
Yeah.
Maybe just No, I got nothing.
That's good. It's one of those days. You're done school for the year, so you don't even have to think about being wise, right?
That's the point. Sometimes it's best to just not say anything at all.
There it is.
What's that quote? A wise man once said, "Nothing at all." There's your wisdom for the day.
There you go. Wise man. Actually, Andrew.
It's a good story for another time. I once did a speech, and the topic was nothing. That's a story.
Did you just stand up there? Yeah, we'll get around to that eventually. Thank you for that. We want to shout out people who listen. I don't know if this person listens to the podcast, but we were in chapel and they made a really funny variation of the name, Daniel Vamal. Hopefully he's listening. Appreciate that guy. Love his energy. Funny, loving guy. So thank you for listening. If you do, if you don't, you should. But Daniel Vamal, big shout out today. Yeah, cool. Well, I think we're done. We're good to go. Episode 8, that's a wrap. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time on Banana for Your Head Top.